Hey, Masters of Speed, it's Terra Master, joined for the State of Speed podcast by the whole crew here. We've got Cursive, we've got Justice, we've got Moderator Drake. Drake, what are we talking about?
All right, today we're going to be talking about the newest Speed Duel set, Streets of Battle City, of course. And then a little special bonus, we're going to be talking about a little bit of our personal history with Speed Duel.
Yeah. I'm
Fun
also going to plug in
times
my
ahead.
headphones so that I don't accidentally echo anybody. Continue.
All right, let's get it started. New set brought us, let me see if I'm reading this correctly, 2 new skills.
Sounds right.
The first one is Ultimate Wizardry. What do you think about that skill, Cursive? How's that going to impact the meta?
We have Breaker's Feather Duster now available to us.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I mean spell counters with Breaker are sick, and you can do some other cute things with it too, but it's mostly for Breaker.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. You could tech in your cute magical marionette if you feel like.
Yeah, I think Marionette's funny there. I like it.
Yep. But other than that, I feel like Dark Renewal Breaker is the main thing the deck does. So
100%.
Yep, don't hit Awakening, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. Waking's not real.
The next skill, I think, is a bit more impactful. I think it might be the best skill in current Speed Duel. The rest have been errated into oblivion, or hit by the ban list, or both. But it is My Precious Queen, Terra. What's that card going to do?
The card is going to do something we love the most about Yu-Gi-Oh, which is stall.
Yeah.
I think we all sitting here want Yu-Gi-Oh to be as slow as possible. We want every round to go to time, and we want in that time to whoever's activated more ladybugs to win. I think this is perfect for that. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want every duel to feel like the volcanic mirror.
Yeah. This skill is actually really wild. So every end phase, yours and your opponent's, you're getting a 100/100 token. So obviously, like you guys said, that's crazy for stalling. It's also generating you tokens for Token Sunday, making that card actually very good. And you can creature swap these tokens. So you generate one of your opponent's end phase in attack mode, and then you creature swap it, taking their real card, giving them your 100/100 attacking over it. So yeah, that's pretty wild. I think this skill is probably going to be the skill of the format.
Yeah, well, I mean, really, when has Weevil ever been good in Speed Duel before? I think it's really time.
I know, right?
We allow him to shine a little bit.
Yeah, finally give him a chance.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
For the
Time
first
to give him
time.
something good.
Dude,
Oh
shout
my.
out to
Mhm.
Weevil, most underrated character
Weevil.
ever. Yeah, no, I think the skill is going to be just everyone's going to play it. I mean, in one way, we power crept Joey, so congrats. I think I don't
We
know.
didn't.
Yeah, we did it.
Format
So,
solved. Problem
yeah.
solved. Everything's
I mean,
great.
this skill is at the point where people are just like playing it in other decks too. Like I looked in like the Red Eyes chat, and people were like, "We should just play this skill in Red Eyes too." So
Yeah.
Because you can still just tribute the token, right? For like a
yeah,
tribute.
exactly.
Yeah.
It has to be an insect
Ah,
if you tribute it.
wait, then what are they doing with it in Red Eyes?
It's a
Stalling.
blocker.
Yeah, I guess they're stalling.
Awesome.
Because
And
the
they
token-
also play Token Sunday in Red Eyes. So
Fantastic. All right, so just every deck plays this plus token. Sunday.
Every deck's gonna splash in this
Yep.
plus Token Sunday. See, this is
Right,
what
and then,
happens when a format that's never had spot removal, like ever, suddenly
Yeah.
gets spot removal. Everyone's like, "Oh, I got a spot removal." So yeah,
Play it and everything.
yeah.
well, yeah, I mean, the skill kind of does everything, like with its own effect plus, creature seizure or creature swap plus Token Sunday. Like nothing else really does what this can do.
Yeah, and this is funny because Token Sunday with the skill that gives you free tokens, fine. Literally,
Yeah.
the card Fisher too strong.
Yes.
Strong.
Yeah. Yep, I got no words for
Broken
that.
man.
Yeah.
And it's just so sick because like normally with things like that, it's like combo based, right? And it's like, well, if you draw those things, they might be bad draws. No. Swap, Sunday, they're always live. They are literally always live.
Yep.
Because your opponent's end phase, like, what are they going to do? Use a spot removal trap? Those don't exist. So
Amazing.
better luck next time. All right.
Yep.
Moving on.
Next up, we have individual cards, new cards we got that we think are going to be impactful or interesting. So, Justice, how about you start that out?
Sure. I'm gonna do like a little trio together. For anyone who's ever watched me on anything ever, you know I am a fan of dragons, so we're going with things related to Red Eyes in any way possible.
Yes.
Here, so we're going with Gearfried, the Red Eyes Iron Knight. Cool card, you know, fun. We got Red Eyes Baby Dragon, which is sweet, and the Blast with Chain, which of course can combo with the Gearfried. The Baby Dragon can also combo with the Gearfried. You can run Black Metal Dragon with it if you want, so you can like search it out. So just neat little Red Eye stuff. Not quite the Red Eye support we would have asked for,
Wanted,
I think, but still, it's cool. It's cool stuff. And like Blast with Chain plus Gearfried can obviously do some stuff. So like, yeah, it's neat.
I mean, they
Yeah.
gave us better Red Eye support in the non-Red Eyes box than the one featuring Red Eyes, which was interesting, but sure.
Yeah. I mean, this would have been really cool to have for the last 6 months. And not just to get now, but, you know, I guess we take what we could get.
Yeah.
There's also the thing of like, you know, I was looking in like the Speed Duel League Red Eyes chat too, I think, and people were talking about like how Duel Links Red Eyes decks from when that first got Red Eyes Gearfried. And
They had Slash.
yeah, and they were comparing
Yeah.
it to this, and I'm like, and they were trying to like be like, oh yeah, I had so much fun playing this, and I'm like, yes, so did I. But the fun half of that deck was not Gearfried Blast with Chain. The fun half of that deck was Red Eyes Fusion.
Yeah.
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 Summoning that Slash Dragon, man. Such a
Yeah.
cool monster.
You know,
Yep.
the thing we didn't get and probably won't for a while. So
Yeah, man. If they gave us the fusion and like Red Eyes Fusion, that would have been so sick. I would have been pumped.
Oh yeah. Yeah, would have been hyped as hell for that.
Yeah.
that would have been
I
an
am a
instant.
big fan of special summons.
Yeah, that would have been
Yes.
an instant order 3 boxes, right?
Exactly.
Unfortunate. All right.
Yeah.
else we
So,
got?
Tara, what do you have any more cards?
I actually want to go back to skills for a second. Look, whether we want to admit it or not, beatdown is a speed duel thing, right? Speed duel loves beatdown. Beatdown has always been a powerful deck, whether that's been like beatdown with a super broken skill like Inner Conflict pre-errata, or beatdown with TP back in the day was a thing, right? Remember TP Warrior? Or it was like Blade Knight
What's that?
beatdown. And now it's like Banisher beatdown, right? So Gearfried beatdown, like normal Gearfried. Because we have the skill that says, oh yeah, your Gearfried is unaffected by card effects. So that's kind of nutty, especially if everybody's on Token Sunday. Because now it's like, oh, my monster doesn't get destroyed by your removal. So I don't know how that interacts with swap. I actually think they would still take your Gearfried, but
Would that not be the same as SPA versus swap?
yeah, maybe we should ask Tensei.
Answer.
Shout out to Beebs. But no, I think an 1800 that's unaffected by card effects at the power level Speed Duel is at might be okay. Especially if you can do something to buff it. Like I'm sure there's cards that buff things, like Berserk Skills comes to mind, right? Without
Fusion Sword Murasame
needing
Blade.
to equip.
Wait,
'cause
did the I don't remember
different
offhand.
things.
Does the skill make it so that it's only unaffected by your opponent's card effects or all card effects?
Oh, it might be all actually.
I don't remember.
So you
I'll be
can't
honest.
boost it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's unaffected by card effects. Just look.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, if you just put up a 1900 or bigger, like your whole strategy kind of falls apart.
Well, but you're protecting your Gearfried with your own back row, right? You
Yeah,
you
I
would
mean,
hope.
sure.
So
You're gonna use Shrink.
yeah. Shrink,
Right. Sure.
wall, sphere.
I think the more so the issue for this deck, and same thing with the Red Eyes deck, is I mean, Cyber Angel still exists. None of these decks have ways to clear Izana.
I mean,
They don't.
yeah.
I mean, they do. You just creature swap.
Yes, hope they don't have another monster and creature swap.
Lava Golem.
There you go. Now we're talking.
There it
Ah,
is.
dude.
I mean,
cards.
this insect stall deck probably plays Lava Golem. And
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what
I mean, I
Golem
can
is.
see that. That's one thing. But the insect stall deck can still stall out CA
But
anyway.
you mean like the Gear Free deck?
Yeah, I
or
mean like Gearfried, Red
the Breaker
Eyes.
deck don't have outs
Yeah,
too.
Breaker.
Sure.
They don't have
Wait.
outs to
Make
Ursus.
Marionette huge. It's fine.
I mean, I think the Breaker deck also plays Creature Swap because in case they hit a Waking, they just like, here, have a Breaker, I'll take your Fusion.
So if you play Share the Pain and your Gearfried is unaffected by card effects, it doesn't matter because share attributes are cost, right?
Correct.
Okay, all right. I was like, wait, how broken is this? It's not.
It's
It's not. It's
bad.
fine.
It would be
Everything's-
cool, but no.
It's
I
everything.
feel like that's honestly better, so at least you can use share.
Yeah. Yeah. But you just use share with the token deck. It's fine.
All right, Taro.
You cannot tribute them.
Yeah.
Womp womp.
Yeah.
Stop adding restrictions to skills.
Did you have more cards though for non-skills?
Me?
Yeah.
Not really.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Look, it's not that inspiring of a product, okay?
I think there's a couple of things. Cursive.
Yeah, I guess skill wise, I think the Heart of the Warrior, the one that lets you special summon those vanillas, is cool. I like the concept of me just normal summoning my Flame Swordsman. It's also interesting to have a deck that doesn't need any monsters in the main deck.
Yeah.
As for cards that are not skills, I mean, anti-magic arrows is cool.
That's our like, I don't know what to call it. Boxley, yeah. I was gonna
Yeah.
say daily, but
Yeah.
daily's not the right word. That's our Boxley back row hate.
Yes.
I feel like you generally speaking, you rather just have a Night Beam, but I could see cases where it could be better.
I think for
card.
like OTK decks, AMA is way better.
Mm. Dude,
I
dude,
disagree
dude,
because
you
a Night
can't
Beam can hit-
can't hit a waking if you're using AMA.
Which
That's
like,
true.
is probably going to be around if like the whole breaker control.
But
thing.
you also can't hit a Floodgate and you can't hit a Zero Gravity, and I think those will be popular cards, especially.
You know, if I were to
Zero
pick
Gravity.
some cards that I really like from this box, I think I would say like Red Eyes Black Dragon's pretty cool. Magician of Faith, Book of Moon, I like that card.
It's a Book of
Allure of
Moon.
Darkness, that's a cool card too. Floodgate Trap Hole, man, that card's insane.
Oh, we were just talking about that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, shout out to
I-
Dark
I-
Magician. Both are.
I have a few, and most of them are rapid fire. They're not really worth discussing so much.
Okay.
But
Go, go, go.
Dark Renewal, that card
Yes, that
is
card.
obviously very
That's all right.
important in the Breaker deck.
Yeah.
Lets you turbo out your what's it called? Magical Marionette after using your Breaker to clear all their back row. That's pretty cool. So you clear a monster afterwards, and then you have a Magical Marionette. Maybe
Yep.
clear 2 monsters. Reflect Bounder is a big card from this set. That card's actually pretty crazy. It's not as crazy as Zoma. Zoma's a special summon. But Reflect Bounder is pretty annoying.
Was at 1.
Zoma's also at 1. Yes. Reflect Bounder is still pretty annoying. You put that up, and if your opponent has to kill it by battle, they have to take at least 1,700 damage, which is pretty big in Speed Duel.
Since
so I don't-
Esperoba has come up, I want to take a second to remind everyone that our hashtag Free Jinzo campaign is still ongoing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Free Jinzo. This set gets kind of
Hashtag free Genzo in the comments.
Yeah.
I
if
agree.
Jinzo was free. Resonance Insect and Howling Insect are like okay. If you
Banisher
do
says,
want
not
to
really, bro.
if you do want to try a moth deck, which could be a thing. Reversible Beetle is a card you probably play in that deck. Reactor Slime. A lot of people are
Reactors.
messing around with that card.
Yeah.
We already talked about Token Sunday. That's probably like the best single card in this set. Jinzo Returner, it's trash, right? Unless you free Jinzo.
Hashtag free
man.
Genzo.
Then you go Future Fusion for Chimera Tech, and you just get to go pop out 3 Jinzos and just for free.
Yeah,
That's kind of cool.
this is fine.
And just
Brain
win the game.
Crusher is worth mentioning, not because it's like a crazy good card. It is a Goyo Guardian,
but it's a 2 tribute monster. Unless your skill is My Precious Queen, then it's a 1 tribute monster, and you're just tributing the token. So it's basically just a normal summon
Mm.
in that deck. And we talked about the Gearfried engine and Magical Marionette as a target for Dark Renewal. Those are all things I noticed.
Warrior of Atlantis is cool too.
Oh yeah.
Warrior of Atlantis. Yeah.
Shout out to Field Spell Searchers.
Hey, fish depth shard. Speaking of water, right? Gemini spark for fish. fish spark.
Fish
Gem-
Spark.
Gemini.
Yeah, the
depth
fact
charge?
that it has to tribute a fish is a bit restrictive.
Yeah, we
Good
did not
effect,
get a
though.
lot of good fish.
No.
Dude, Swamp Mirror can be a fish any day you want him to be.
That is true.
That's true. There you go.
I mean, we also
Divine
okay, so
fish.
that's a normal fish, just like 7 colored fish and Terra King salmons. So you get to play Justy Break.
Oh hell
That's
yeah.
great. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should move on before we go too far here.
Yep.
Okay. So what are decks that you think are going to be competitive in this new meta?
I feel like we've covered
Yeah, I mean,
that. Like, I mean, I think
Yeah.
that the spell counter stuff definitely has some merit to it, right?
Yep.
Insect stall, whatever uses that engine most effectively is probably going to be very good. I keep messing with my mic; it just keeps moving. It's very disappointing. So like, yeah, all that is going to be good. I can't imagine that Joey Banisher is suddenly going to be bad. Like,
I think it is a little bit power crept, but not bad.
yeah, I think so too. I mean, especially like with the idea of Banisher, because the decks that we're talking about right now aren't ones that are consistently using the graveyard or Banisher has any impact on them. So Banisher's probably going to be phased out of this meta.
Right. So it's like, do you want to play Joey as your skill that, like, you know, makes traps worse, battle traps worse, or do you just like, hey, let me just generate a token every turn? Or
yeah, no,
battle traps are worse. Well, how about all traps are worse? I'm just playing Breaker Turbo.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like those two decks definitely stand out for sure.
Okay, well that
I'm
brings
sure
the
someone's
question-
gonna like figure something out with the just the free summon from the extra deck, right? Whether the Flame
I
Swordsman.
could see that. I could
or
see that.
whatever.
And then
Yep,
so we have the Breaker skill, we have the Insect skill, but also I think that the Gearfried engine is just kind of good. So like Gearfried beatdown. I don't mean the OG Gearfried, but the Red Eyes one.
Yeah, I think the Red Eyes control or whatever you want to call it is pretty solid too. Yeah, I think it's definitely the lowest out of the three, but is a solid deck still.
And then do any old decks get buffed enough, like realistically, to be competitive? Because like obviously there's a bunch of cute water things, but I don't know if any of that will be competitive.
Vampires
Banisher.
get
That's what I was gonna say.
Banisher is not
The same thing as Justice. Vampires, I think, have
Okay.
a chance to shine in this meta.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if Banisher's
Okay.
actually gone, you could even see Dark Calling. Because of the fact, like, hey, I can actually Dark Fusion, Dark Calling, and
Mhm.
that can pop off every single time I want to do that. That may be a counter to Token Stall because those monsters, whether it's Dark Gaia, specifically Dark Gaia, right? They
That's
don't
the token in
really.
attack mode, right?
Yeah, it forces the token. It doesn't really care
Yeah.
that your token will summon in defense. It really does.
That's cool.
So
That's cool.
yeah.
And they can't even like play around like you can with like book and mooning your own monster because it's a token and you can't book it.
Right.
Yeah, they would need like a zero gravity or something,
Yeah.
which you could have just night beamed.
Could have.
Yeah, that's not bad.
You could have night beamed. You could have summoned Jinzo since it was free. Sure.
Yeah, surely it was freed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also think CA is still going to be fine. CA is still
Bro.
the Ursa special.
Yeah. Did they get anything, or did they just not really get worse?
I think they're just CA, man. They just didn't get worse, and they just do what they always did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
But-
still the best aggressive deck we have.
Although, if my prediction of like creature swap cards getting popular, that is a hit to CA.
Yeah, sure.
Like if it's comboed with lava golems, like you kind of can't play around both.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Exactly. It's like, which
But,
one do they have, or do they have both?
Yeah, and the other thing to mention too is like this format that we're in right now is going to last for like maybe a month until the YCS comes out, or the extravaganza, and then they make a ban list
Yeah.
presumptively.
A new list is,
Maybe, yeah.
honestly, a lot of times more interesting than the new set.
Yeah,
And by
But,
new list, you mean they're gonna add like 6 more cards to the currently existing list
I
without
think we
removing
can-
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, refill
I
found
think we can confidently say that this, whether you like these decks or you don't, I think we can honestly say that this set is a lot more impactful than the last two we got.
yeah,
Probably,
yeah.
yeah.
Probably, yeah.
So now it's just up to you. Like, do you like one or more of these decks? You'll have a good time. If you don't like these strategies, well, sorry.
And I will say too, I think that this set is good for people that like haven't been with Speed Duel since like its inception or a long time ago. It does introduce like a lot of really good cards to people that are coming into the format, and it does have viable strategies in it.
Yeah.
But what was it, like 60% of the box is reprints or vanillas?
Exactly. This does feel like a very good set for new players because it not only has the old staples reprinted, that's good for them, but it has a couple of the decks we think are actually going to be a couple of the best decks.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I see that divide a lot as far as like new players really love this set a lot, and then the older players are the ones that are usually like, why is more than half of it reprints?
Yeah, and then like the thing for me, because like you see a lot of people in the community like that want some of these cards reprinted. It comes up a lot. But the big thing for me is that this is an advanced format. These cards don't cost a lot of money. They're all super cheap. If you really needed one of these staples, you can probably go get it for like $1.
Yeah, the cards people are asking for reprints these are $2 to $6 cards. These aren't.
Yeah.
These are not $20 cards. It's like, oh, can you please reprint this? It's like, it is nice to have the cards more available, but they're not like super needed. Like, oh, please reprint Lava Golem. It's $5. Kursev pointed out one more card that we were kind of forgetting. It's actually a pretty major card. Ledger of Ledger Main.
Oh
Yeah.
This card says draw 3 cards in 3 turns. But that's pretty fantastic in this whole insect stall thing that we have going on.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you
crazy.
manage to survive a couple turns, you're gonna +2.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
This card's insane in slow duels.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
And you're gonna draw more
Actually, it's better than Pot of Greed.
you're gonna draw more creature swaps and lava golems and defensive traps and golden ladybugs and I think by the point where it resolved, like you drew your 3 cards, I think the opponent's lost at that point.
Yeah, so I
And
mean,
the
this,
other
goes,
thing-
this goes back to like my primary complaint, right? Which is like the power scaling philosophy is so inconsistent, right? We're like, okay, fast cards like Red Eyes Fusion, special summon a fusion monster, right? Way too strong. But +2 as a reward for stalling, that's fine. Like,
Yeah.
really?
And that's been an issue with speed duels for like a really long time, right? It's like you get rewarded for playing slow.
Yeah.
Yep.
They definitely incentivize slow duels and not speed duels.
Yeah, 100%.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Twisted personality, golden
It's so
lady.
funny though, right? Because it's like it's become the exact opposite, right? Because like pre-errata Cocoon, pre-errata IC was like the exact opposite, right? It was literally I can end the game in 1 turn.
Now, I will say when Cocoon was initially released, everyone was playing a insect stall deck. So
Clearly the best way to use the skill.
So what you're saying
Yeah.
is in the next set, which is going to be the indoors of Battle City,
Yeah.
we're going to reprint original Cocoon.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're
stop
gonna
the insect
we're gonna
stall.
unerrata it.
Yeah. Shout out
It has a new
Uh,
name.
I think it was
Not
inner
on the- not on
conflict
the
that
list.
really incentivized like Cocoon decks to play faster and just incentivize the entire format to go faster.
Yeah, and then like someone realized, wait, I can just tribute their monster to summon a 3500 from my deck and my hand. Seems pretty good.
And then
Oh, and normal summon a charging Gaia.
and then someone else realized that, hey, I could take my opponent's monster, tribute it for, I don't know, Jinzo, and then have my own 1600 out and attack for 4K, and they can't traps.
Yeah.
They can't use traps. Easy.
They
That's
cannot
pretty good.
Easy.
They just can't traps. Sorry.
They can sphere. They can sphere.
Yeah, no, I remember
And
the
then you
format.
die in the pack.
That format was you better have sphere or offerings.
Yeah,
It literally was.
literally. Good times.
Those were actually the only outs.
Are we just? Wait, did we just accidentally like lead into the next?
We
subject,
did. I
like,
think we
by
might
accident?
have. Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect
I
transition.
think it's time. It's
Take us
time.
away.
All right, we're gonna talk about our own personal histories with Speed Duel. Starting with the question, when did you start playing Speed Duel and why? Like, what gave you that crazy idea to start playing Speed Duel? Let's start with Cursive.
I started playing Speed Duel at this game's inception, man. Very first set came out, and it was at the time that I was like getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh, trying to play advanced format, and I was like, damn, these decks cost a lot of money when you haven't been collecting cards for a few years. And I seen Speed Duels, and I was like, it's new. It's like Duel Links, and I love Duel Links, but also another really expensive way to play the game. I was like, so I can get in at the start, I can have the entire card pool, and it's a brand new way to play Yu-Gi-Oh! It has to be good. So I jumped in, and I've been playing it ever since. Cheap way to play my favorite card game.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of the same. I had just recently quit Duel Links, I think, or was like thinking about quitting Duel Links, whatever. I tried to get back in advanced format, but that was, like Cursive said, expensive. I've even bought like a couple of the boxes. You remember Duel Devastator? I bought that.
Yeah.
And it was like supposed to give you all the hand traps and stuff, and I'm like, this is still like, one, it's expensive, and two, it's just annoying.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to learn links and pendulum mechanics and what pendulum monsters never go to the graveyard and stuff like that. Like, I don't, like, I'm sorry, I don't care. So Speed Duel was like, it's Yu-Gi-Oh starting over, which is cool because I remember when Duel Links did that when it first started. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, and it was also affordable. So yeah, that's pretty much what it came down to.
Yeah, funny thing is, like, I actually, and it's funny because, like, of how it's been literal years that I've been involved with Speed Duel, and it feels weird to say that I actually got started a little bit later than some other people. I like tried it a little bit earlier on, like, but when I really got into it was actually, I think, right after like the Serpent Night Dragon era, whatever product that was, I don't know, but I think it was like right after like Serpent Night Dragon like had just finished terrorizing the game as like the tier 0 deck.
Yeah.
It was like just after that. Like got into it with a few friends that like also used to play Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day. Like I still was involved with, like Duel Links, but I hadn't played Advanced since like 09. And yeah, like I still enjoyed Duel Links and enjoyed it like earlier, again, it was just like that nostalgia trip, right? It was like early Speed Duel, I think, was for me what it still wants to be for people now, which was like that nostalgia trip. It's just that only, keeps you invested for so long, right? But yeah, that got me into it because like I played Yu-Gi-Oh semi-competitively from 02 to 09, so like, and then dropped it after that. So yeah, having like a physical Yu-Gi-Oh game to get back into was really appealing, and yeah, it kind of took off from there.
I started Arena of Lost Souls, so the first actual booster set. And how I started, we had like this little event at locals, like a release event where you could win like a bones mat or something like that.
Yes.
And I was like, well, that looks cool. And I think like we only like 3 or 4 people entered. And yeah, we just picked it up from there and started playing. And it was the same like little small group at locals every week, 4 to 8 players for a while. And I liked that they came out with sets so quickly with those booster sets. I think they were like every 2 or 3 months. Does that
Yeah, we
sound right?
got a lot of
I think it was
sets
2
in
months.
2019.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
2019 it was like every 2 months. They were small, so you weren't like, oh no, it's a big money drop. You just need a few singles from it. But it was interesting to be like, hey, this format is evolving quickly. That eventually slowed down a year later, but it was cool during that time at least.
Yeah. I think they should have found some kind of a balance between more frequent sets, but still have it be closer to the price model of the boxes. So I don't know what
Yeah,
the answer to that is, but
they had 6 different releases and 7 total different products in 2019 between
That's
starter decks and boosters.
awesome.
that would have been
Yeah.
that pace would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Arguably
kept up.
too much, but because the sets were so small, it was fine, I think.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
Exactly.
All right. What is everybody's favorite deck or decks? Cursive.
My pet deck that ended up being from Speed Duels was Crystal Beasts, man. Every format, I was like, they're still good. They're still good. I know they are. Ever since they came out. And I think it's probably because my very first YCS experience was YCS Niagara playing Crystal Beasts in a mirror in the finals, which was like super cool. It was so much fun. Great experience. That's probably my favorite experience from Speed Duels as a whole. But yeah, Crystal Beast and that format was just before it was solved was so much fun. Great format.
Early first ban list format was a lot of fun.
It was great.
Yeah. That was some good times. We all had some success in that format.
Oh.
Justice won a big online tournament with Cyber Darks.
Yeah.
Cursive got second at a YCS. Freaking a little bit later, me and Drake started doing well in the remote events. That was a good time.
It was a good format. But there's one other deck that I really like, and that deck is Pass Ma'am.
Dude,
I'll leave it at that.
I don't even know.
All right, passive aggressive, swarming scarabs murder all monsters. Pass, ma'am. All right.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was
it's
bad. Don't worry.
It was a really bad deck that me and Terramaster coped on for like a week when the original Battle City box came out.
It was one of those where you play one game against Moth and you beat it and you're like, oh my god.
There's a single video on the Team JDG channel
Yes.
where Terramaster hypes it up for like a second.
I do.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Go find that Easter egg. That's your goal.
There you go.
There you go. Good luck.
I'm gonna do that. Justice, what about you?
Well, Cursive got 2, so I'm gonna take 2. Nope, cheating. Taking 3 real quick. First off, I'm stealing. So I'm gonna go in chronological order. First, I don't know how many people know, and I wonder if this is Terramaster's answer, that like he and Lucas were like the pioneers of like initial inner conflict.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's Speed Duel history that like people don't realize. But it's true. Like Inner Conflict Monarchs specifically was literally like Terramaster and Lucas. Like people were just not playing it that way before, so like that was theirs. The next step in that deck was yours truly, who took it to a more dark theme, and it became Dark Conflict, which became the de facto way to play that deck for a while. Like there was a meta where Dark Conflict just was the best way to play Inner Conflict. That's what people were on, and that was me. So that's number 1. Number 2, of course, Raging Cat, because like how is it not? It's like become a meme of Justice only plays direct attack decks, but like that was, and like that caught on, and funny enough, me popularizing that at the beginning of banlist format was what led to me winning with Cyberdarks, because Cyberdarks murdered that deck. But like I was the one to popularize that, and then third, real quick, I'm gonna go with Dragoon Burn when whatever format that was, that like first banlist format, right?
Yes.
Where like where like I was doing well with it in remote events, was doing well with it online events. Theg's Sophie also like just took it to like the showdowns every week and just won with it every week. And was like, oh my god, wait, this deck is insane. And like it was a deck that nobody else was on, and like I pioneered it, and like it kept doing really, really well over and over again. So
shout out to our game 3 disconnect at the remote duel.
Oh my god.
Oh, you were playing that deck when that happened, Justice.
No, no, I wasn't. Oh wait, are you talking about something else?
We were playing in the remote event. I think we were in like.
Oh
was it
semis.
Yeah.
Yes,
and
you DC'd. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Game 3 DC.
Yeah, that was gross. Yeah,
I think
that was really, really dumb.
I feel like I was on CA during that event actually.
Oh, man.
Yes, yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
So
You
those
guys
are my
see-
answers. I have very fond memories of all three of those.
Yeah. You guys are spoiling some of my future answers, but it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite deck from Speed Duel history has to be Unions.
Yeah.
When that came out, that was like, whoa, a control deck, right? Because like you talked about Conflict Monarch, we invented that to compete with Moth, but it was the way it competed with Moth was like, I'm going to kill you first before you do the thing and kill me. Unions, meanwhile, was like, if you don't do anything, I might kill you first, but honestly, no, I'm going to survive your play, and I'm going to crack back at you by summoning XYZ Dragon Cannon. And now, guess what? Your skill is gone. Mine is once per turn. So I'm going to win this game from here on out because I survived. And that was kind of what I always wanted throughout like Moth format before that, as a deck that could deal with Moth on the crackback. So like to me that was amazing. The first big remote event we played in, I actually played Unions and got top 8 with it.
Yeah.
So that was really cool because I think that top 8 was like dominated by Moth.
Mhm.
So that felt really nice to like take a tier 2 deck to top cut. So there you go. That's my answer.
Nice. Mine are. I'll give my number 3 spot to Unions real quick. Yeah, that deck was fun, and I like it. Always kind of felt like it had answers to, yeah, big bosses or a bunch of back row or whatever. It kind of always had a solution. When you didn't brick. Occasionally,
we talked about Lucas
occasionally
being
you're like,
someone
we draw
that
3 wise.
yeah, we talked
What's up?
about Lucas being someone that pioneered things like back in the day. Shout out to Lucas. Also introduced Obelisk the Tormentor to Unions.
That is true.
Yeah.
For the sideboard mirror.
Yeah,
Yes.
Just the
Yeah, it just auto
Yeah.
won the mirror.
Yeah.
Someone
Yes.
did.
Yeah, and we saw
Yep.
that happen. It was a tournament like I
Yeah.
streamed.
Yep.
Yeah.
He sided in the obelisk and just auto won game
I think
2
that
or
was-
3, the mirror.
That was the first one that he brought it to.
Yeah. That
And then
that
everyone
great.
picked it up afterwards.
Yep,
Yeah, it was
yep.
crazy.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
it's a great tech.
It
It
Great
is.
tech.
It's super cool.
And then my number 2 is Inner Conflict. That's when when remote dueling actually like was new. That was the format. It was a Battle City format, and I played a lot with that deck. It won me a crap ton of playmats, so I like it. And it was the one I enjoyed the most. Like I played some Moth, I played some Inner Conflict, I played some TP. I even probably played some Unions, but the one I really liked was Inner Conflict. The mirrors were so like rewarding to the better player. I love those type of mirrors where it's like, okay, the better player is probably going to win. I also knew like if they summoned a blowback dragon on me, I probably just won that match. There's certain cards people were on that I'm like, okay, I don't think you're winning this
Yeah.
one. Sorry.
Yeah.
And blowback was the main one where it's like, okay, they just like tributed their monster for a blowback. We're fine. We're fine here.
Yeah,
We're in a different league.
If you
apparently.
weren't doing Breaker and Hadez, you were doing something probably incorrect. This is pre-Jinzo.
Mhm.
If you weren't doing Breaker Hadez, I don't know what you were.
Oh, I'm
Kaiser
talking about Battle City format is when I played it.
Oh, okay.
Kaiser Glass.
Yeah. So I
Kaiser
mean,
Glider,
there were several legitimate tribute monsters you could play. I played Kaiser Glider. That was my favorite one. And then yeah, my favorite of all time was actually Post Errata Moth. It was still OP compared to the rest of the Speed Duel card pool, but it was less crazy. And one thing I really liked about that deck is the actual card, Parasite Paranoid. It just had so many uses. Yes, you can end phase it, and then on your turn tribute your opponent's monster and get a Moth from your deck. Yeah, that's the main play. That's crazy. But also, you can use its other effects. In either player's battle phase, you can equip it
Hand trap.
to... Yeah, exactly. Use it as a hand trap.
Yeah,
You can equip it to either player's monster, and then when that monster leaves the field, you just drop a Moth out of your hand. So, surprise!
You could also use it
either
to stop
surprise-
the XYZ Dragon Cannon pop too, right?
Yes.
It was
that was a big
Yep.
deal.
yeah.
Yep. I actually did that at Nats.
That's sick.
Yeah, that was cool. So I got to use all of its abilities. I like a card that has multiple uses. And then it also has another hidden, not so hidden ability. You get to shuffle it in and draw a card.
Woo!
Wow, that's hidden ability.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's a hidden ability.
Pot of half.
But yeah, that was I really enjoyed that deck actually. And the mirrors again, the mirrors were a little bit sacky, but they were still pretty enjoyable. Yeah, that's all my favorite decks. What format? So not even just a deck, like what format would you say overall was the one you enjoyed the most? We'll start with Justice.
Probably, I'm gonna say first ban list because I think that was when I was really able to
Okay.
do a lot of fun stuff. I think that's where like almost all the decks we talked about, where I was able to like innovate a little bit and like have success, right? So that was where Raging Cat did well. That was where Dragoon Burn did well. That was where Cyberdark, which was not my deck. I just took Ursa's list to be clear. But that was where I won the tournament with that. So like I think that was where like I had probably the most amount of fun and like different decks that like weren't known to be like tier 1 that like I had a lot of success with. So yeah, probably first ban list format.
Yeah, I have to agree. First banlist format. Because I had good finishes in big remote events with Crystal Beasts, with Ojama, with I think Cyber Angels, but there's like getting to play a variety of decks and being like, yeah, who else won a giant card with Ojama? I don't think anybody else did, to be honest. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, no, first ban list was nice for just like diversity of decks available to be competitive with. That was great.
Yeah. I'm also going to jump on the first ban list bandwagon too. Had a tops with Crystal Beasts, tops with Cyber Angels, another JDG special with Volcanic switcheroo before it became the burn deck that it was.
Yep.
It was truly like JDG's innovation period where we made like half the decks that were relevant. They were made by this team, and there was so much diversity in the meta. There was so many different decks that were showing up. Yeah, you had your obvious like best decks, but there was so many other things. Beatdown also came out from JDG in that meta as Beatdown Squared where it started. It's
Really
crazy.
spoiling my stuff here.
We're so good at Yu-Gi-Oh!
I do enjoy that none of us even mentioned Beatdown as one of our favorite decks because just no.
No.
Those of us that played it because it was good. It not because it was fun.
Yeah.
But my favorite format was not the early ban list format. That one's probably my second favorite. My favorite was what do you call it? Not Battle City box. GX box 1. Yeah, it is just another moth format. Yep. That's true. And I liked that one. Because that format was less crazy than a lot of people love Battle City box format. That format is like the Wild West. It's crazy. Everything is tier 1. Everything can like OTK you. I thought that was a bit ridiculous. Although I mean it was all right. But no, for the GX box set where Moth was the best deck, everyone knew the Moth was the best deck and they could prepare for it. They didn't have to be like, oh man, my opponent could be on Moth or Inner Conflict or Twisted Personality or Unions. That's pretty hard to prepare for when all those decks are strong. But when it's just Moth that's strong, if you're playing Moth, you have to prepare for mirrors mostly, or if you're playing Burn, you just have to have text to beat Moth. But yeah, I like the power level there. It was the second, maybe not the second exactly, but it was one of the higher power level formats that wasn't like absurd in my opinion.
Yeah, it was Speed Duel without the game being over the second a big play, like any big play was made.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah, I get it.
Yep. Okay, this is an interesting one. What did you learn from playing Speed Duel? And it doesn't have to be a lesson about Speed Duel specifically. It could be about anything. Why don't you start us out, Justice?
You would. This is the one that like I actually struggled with a little bit as I was preparing for this episode. I'm gonna go with something really weird here, actually. I learned that the Speed Duel community is very difficult to organize events for. And let me elaborate a little bit. Speed Duel's in a weird spot where particularly in the past, like as I was more active as a tournament organizer and as an event organizer, where we weren't getting a lot of official events, right? Remote duels weren't happening nearly as much. We weren't getting, like the YCSs and whatnot. So like it was almost entirely community based, and like that's the time where I was most active, as a TO. And Speedo's in a weird spot where like things have to be community run, but also no one wants to spend any money on entering tournaments. But also no one is going to enter tournaments without there being a prize pool.
Mm-hmm.
So we were in this weird spot where like, and I did it over and over and over again, where the only way to run any kind of tournament or event is just to put up your own money out of the goodness of your own heart.
Yeah.
And I did it a lot. I like over time between my own events and even some other events, I put hundreds and hundreds of dollars into, prize pools, like just because I love the game and I wanted to, try to help the competitive scene. But yeah, I learned that Speedo's in a really weird spot where like trying to help that scene was actually really difficult. Much more so than I would have liked. Not to be clear, I'm not saying I was out here thinking, oh, I'm gonna profit, a ton off of running Speed Duel events. Like that was never the point. So I'm not saying, oh, I didn't make hundreds of dollars instead of lose $100, so it's a problem. I'm not saying that. But it was always just in a really weird spot where like you knew going in that like you just had to put up money like just so that we had events to run. And that was interesting. But people generally responded well, if you ran a good event. So like it was still fun, and I don't regret it at all.
Yeah, to join in on that, the whole concept of people not really like wanting to spend money on Speed Duel events really came more into effect when Alam and Speed Duel League became like a major thing. Because when I started like doing like content creation and had my own Discord for tournament organizing, the first 2 or 3 events that I ran all had entry fees, and they all still, for the time, had like extremely good turnouts. We had people actually signing up. We had people actually wanting to play. Yeah, there was a prize pool, but on both those events, or all 3 of them, I know I broke even with entrance and what I was paying out. So it was like, it was a very different time. But once the community started to have an outlet for, well, I don't have to pay money and I can, have the ability to make money, it kind of just became an expectation to the point where if you ever hosted an event that required a entry fee, people would just ignore it, just brush it off, and just pretend that it wasn't there. Exactly, right? So yeah, all of us here dished out a good amount of money from our own wallets to run Speed Duel events with a prize pool just to help grow the community and have events that had a successful turnout, which is, it's crazy when you really think about it, because all of us spent a good amount of money for nothing in reality, right? Like,
yep, just out of love of the format and trying to
help. Yeah,
yep,
literally.
Well, I learned that Book of Moon and Soul Exchange interaction. That book on Res,
that could
maybe
come up in Edison.
Yeah, it could. It could.
Yep.
But more of an honest answer. I think I learned that opinions about Yu-Gi-Oh are not as universal sometimes as I would have thought they might be. Like, for example, there are people who actually like Stall, right? And I'm not saying this in a condescending way, right? I'm saying it as in like, I would have never thought that to be an actual thing that happens, right? I would have thought that there's maybe like 5 people out there in the whole world that do that. But it's actually more. Like they're like people actually like playing the very long drawn out games where the determining factor is basically, who makes one slightly better life point gain play like very early in the game or something like that potentially. And people like that. People like the long-term gameplay going that rather than like, constantly activating like effect, right? To like actively progress the game state. So it put into perspective a lot of like that's what makes Yu-Gi-Oh cool in a way that like there's like 100 different play styles, right? And you can play whichever way you want to, and in an ideal format, not 100, but like 5 or 6 different of them would all be viable. And I feel like something that advanced format didn't do much, Speed Duel was able to do, which is it gave people who like to burn, who like to stall, multiple formats where their preferred style of play or a style of play that they liked was actually really good. So, like, hey, that's great. Like, those of us who like combo decks, we have a ton of different Yu-Gi-Oh formats we can go play, right? Like, it puts it into perspective when I think about it that way. We're like, give it to people who like stall and burn something, And it's kind of cool that they have it. It's not exciting to me, but like I'm still happy for people who got to experience something they wanted to in Yu-Gi-Oh. So
this is an historic day. This is the most measured take Terra Master has ever given.
That's crazy, man.
In his life.
No, I understand it though, because I kind of thought the same thing. I thought like, oh, everyone hates stall, right? Because I hate it, and most of my friends hate it. So I thought everyone did. Well, I'm talking to other friends that I met playing Speed Duel, and they're like, no, I like stall decks. And I'm like, are you okay? And they're like,
you all right, man?
Like, I'm fine. I just like stall deck. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
interesting.
But it's the same argument that I'm now making to myself with all my anti-stall takes that I make to other people when they have like, this card is way too good, to stuff like Red Eyes Fusion, where I'm like, let people have fun, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, if stall is how people have fun, then shut up, Terra Master, let people have fun. So, there you go.
Right, but Terra Master, who do you think of when you think of a stall player? Who's going through your head right now?
Dude, I'm not calling people out. Stop.
Bro. Okay, no. The person I think of every single time is Paulo NS. Every single format. It did not matter if stall was good or bad. He would top with the stall deck. Like half of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy top cut like lists had Paulo there with some like 30 card stall deck every single time.
Yo, bring Paulo back to play the queen skill. My precious.
Literally, man. Get this guy back.
Get him.
Crush the meta. Crush the entire community.
No, I mean, Stevie and Sofa had a ton of success playing like volcanics and stuff like that.
Sure.
But I don't know. I think they kind of just liked good decks.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah,
is what it was. Yeah. Like, I don't want to speak for them, but that was definitely the impression I got.
Yeah.
There's people who like aggro decks, there's people who like combo decks, there's people who like stall decks, and then there's people who like tier 1 decks.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that may be.
There's people that like winning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
They just want to play decks that give them a high win rate.
Right.
Yep.
And hey, again, that's like a competitiveness is what brings the fun into it for some people.
Yeah.
So again,
yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, there's for sure nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Like, if you're then it's almost like cool because it means that you get to play multiple different styles of decks, like, and still be cool with it because it's like, well, if stall is really good right now, I'll play stall. If combo is the best deck, like, I'll play combo. If just straight beatdown's the best deck, then I'll play beatdown.
That's right.
And like, they'll be fine with it. So like, yeah, no, it's cool.
It's honestly better for you maybe to be like that rather than be like me.
Yeah.
Where you're stubborn and only want to play 2 or 3 different types of decks and not anything else, because then some formats you're like, well, what do I do here? Nothing. You just hope on something bad and lose. So.
Yeah, hell yeah, that was my favorite way to play Speed Duels, man. I did that so much.
Yeah, that's what locals are for. I definitely did some of that. Like, I'm gonna play vanillas. Let's go.
Dude, Winnabox was the place for bringing whatever you wanted to bring.
Yeah.
The decks that you would see going through like a Winnabox event, and sometimes what you'd see in the top cut, you're like, why is this here? How did this get here? Who brought this?
Who did
Yeah.
this?
I actually lost to Cloudy a couple times when he was playing insects in formats he should not have been.
Listen,
But he
we've
got
talked about
me.
block format, but for Clody, every format is
Dude,
block formats.
I love
Exactly.
Claudia. Literally one of my favorite people in the community, the Mothman himself. He's so
right.
pumped with this format. He's like, look, I can play my insects again.
Yeah,
Yep.
just the absolute dedication, dude. It's
The dedication.
it's
Man.
admirable.
It is. It truly is.
It is.
Yeah.
But
So-
for me, what I'd say that I probably learned is that the fun from this game didn't come from playing speed duels. It came from playing with the people that I was interacting with, right? Like right now, what I'm enjoying doing is playing with you guys, playing Yugioh or some progression series with Terramaster.
Dude, shout out to
Because, like,
Yugioh.
Shout out to Yugioh, man. Like Yu-Gi-Oh is so much fun, and I love Yu-Gi-Oh. It's great. But like prior to coming into the Speed Duel like community, I would have been one of those people that was like hard pressed on like if it's not an official format, I don't want to play it. Right. But when you start, you come in here and we did, expanded card pool. We did custom ban lists. We have Bugio. Just Cube, exactly, right? Like drafts. Like there's so many ways to play the game, and it's not worth your time being like stuck on the fact that something needs to be official, because you can create something so good in your own way, and a lot of times it's a much more enjoyable experience, especially when you're doing it with people that you actually want to play the game with and not just somebody random.
Yeah.
So I think more than anything, Speed Duel kind of showed me how to enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh.
And
That's
here's
awesome.
another thing, going back to my point of like let people have fun. It's
Yeah.
while designing the expanded card pool, and I didn't realize this at the time. I realized this recently while working on Bugio, is that I'm good at designing formats or adding cards to format or making a band list that creates a format that's fun for me.
Yeah.
Right? I am catering to my own tastes. And if you guys are helping me out, then we're catering to our tastes specifically.
Yeah.
And that's where you kind of start to gain a new perspective. I'm like, okay, which means the Speed Duel team, when they come out with a product that I'm not in love with, it's because they weren't thinking about me, right? And because the whole Yu-Gi-Oh universe doesn't revolve around me, that's okay.
The what?
I know, it's insane.
The Yu-Gi-Verse.
The Yu-Gi-Verse.
So what Tara has learned,
Bugio, on the other hand, the
game
Boogie
design
verse.
is hard, right?
Tara.
I think Tara's learned that game design is hard. That's
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
That's very true.
Yeah. That's a lesson learned.
Still no excuses for making Midterm Paradox, though. That's the exception.
Yeah, there's not much to justify that set. Roids were very competitive. How about that? Okay.
That's great.
Yeah, I learned a couple things. One is that for me personally, if I had to choose between an underpowered format and an overpowered format,
Yeah.
I didn't even know this about myself until I tried both. I'm gonna play the overpowered format every time because it's just more fun. Is it less fair? Like, yeah, probably. It's probably less fair. I'd rather play something that isn't completely fair than play something that is, dull to me. So I want a lot of special summonings. I want crazy high attacks and all this stuff. That's me. The other thing I learned is that if I, at least in Yu-Gi-Oh, but maybe you can apply this to other parts in life. If I actually really like set a goal and put in the work, like I'm going to do the playtesting, I'm going to do the meta calls and all of this, I can see success. Like I actually got the trifecta of Speed Duel, which is a giant card, a main event, and a LAM's cash event. I got all three. And as Stevie pointed out, I'm very humble.
Stevie would never compliment someone. Shut up.
Oh, I'm sure he was not being sarcastic.
No.
He meant that endearingly.
Endearingly.
No way. It's impossible.
Surely.
It's literally impossible.
But yeah, no, I can honestly say I may have played Speed Duel a little bit beyond when I probably should have stopped, and a little bit beyond when I stopped enjoying Speed Duel. But overall, the experience was a great time, truly.
Yeah. No, what I like about playing Yu-Gi-Oh throughout my whole life is you're always meeting new people, and some of those people become your friends for years, and that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, like if you look at your screen right now, there's 4 of us here who, if there was no Yu-Gi-Oh, would not have met.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe if there wasn't Speed Duel specifically,
Yeah.
yeah.
possibly none of us would have met.
almost-
Chances are.
Yeah.
I remember watching a random Evolve video where it was like somebody named Cursive is hosting a Speed Duel tournament at a time where Speed Duel tournaments did not really exist. So yeah, I actually paid this man to
Yeah.
join the
Yeah.
tournament.
Man, that was crazy. I made one like booster box opening video. I filmed it with like some like garbage camera pointed down at the side of my bed with a playmat spread over it.
Let's go.
That was crazy. That video got like a few hundred views, and I was like, dude, I can do this. Let's go.
I remember the video, the first Cursive video I saw. It was like best decks to play, best top 10 cards for the new format, and it was like the GX format. And you were talking about like Cyber Dragon and DD Warrior Lady. I don't remember the other 8 cards, but those 2 ended up being pretty good.
They
Oh,
did. They
man.
did.
Cursive,
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
I mean,
like-
as long as we're doing this, I will say when I was first thinking about getting into speed duels, I was looking like, all right, what are the good decks? And like one of the first things I actually watched was a Cursive video of like a meta breakdown at the time and like going over
Yeah.
top decks. So, you know, shout out to Cursive, helped me get into speed duels in the first place without even knowing it.
dude,
Hell
shout out.
yeah.
Dude, Cursive got all of us into Speed Duel. Look at this man.
That's
my
sick.
favorite memory on the Cursive channel, though, has to be when we started Is This Viable?
Dude, yes, that was so
because
much fun.
Some cards got leaked from the first GX box, and 3 of those
Yeah.
leaked cards were Plasma, Dogma, and Dragoon. So
Okay.
we took that, we took Fusion Party, and we destroyed Moth as it was built at the
Yes.
time. And that was like the most fun I've ever had with like official Speed Duel cards. It was amazing.
Yeah, I imagine Moth without DD Warrior Ladies would definitely struggle against that card.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there was the origination of, obviously, you know, one of the catchphrases of It's a Dragoon.
Yes.
Okay. That's where it came from.
Yeah. Origin
Hey, you know what
stories.
we just did again is we accidentally went right into the next topic. We're very good at this. Very sweet.
Yeah. Well, these two kind of do bleed. But let's make it official. The final topic for today is what are your favorite memories playing Speed Duel? And I think we should just do one at a time until we run out.
I nominate Drake to go first. You haven't gone first in any.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That's true. That's true. Start us
All right.
off.
Okay. So mine's kind of long. The story itself is not that long,
Okay.
but I have to give everyone their history lesson. So how the evolution of Banisher Beatdown. It's a long story. So first of all, GX set came out, and Nightblader said, "Hey, this Cyber Dragon plus Gaia and the beatdown skill seems pretty good," and he's not wrong. It was pretty good. But are you taking notes?
Yeah.
What is going on here?
Okay, but there was a problem, and that was that Moth was way better. Okay, so fast forward a little bit, we get a ban list, and Moth's gone. We don't have to worry about that anymore. And Nightblader and Terra are like, "Hey, I think this beatdown deck might be okay again now. Might actually be one of the better decks." So we were messing around with it, and it was like, "Yeah, this is a deck. This isn't bad." And then later, Nightblader says, "Hey, I think Banisher's really good this format." This is a few weeks into the format when it started to kind of take shape, where Crystal Beasts were good and Volcanics were good, and neither of those decks wanted to see a Banisher on the other side of the table. So he just says, "Hey, I think Banisher's really good this format," and Tara's like, "But what do you play it in? Beatdown maybe?" And Nightblader says, "Yeah, that sounds fine."
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
so yeah, they come up with a list, and we all kind of contribute to it and make it a little bit better. And I take it to the first remote duel after Niagara. I do well with it there, and then it kind of evolves over time to where the next event, I believe, or the next day at least, some people are catching on like, oh, we're gonna play this too. I saw it did really well on day one, and I played against PDS, and he had Pitch Black Warwolves in his deck. I'm like, that's really cool, and I beat him. But I was like, I'm stealing that idea because that's really cool. That's better. We were playing 7 tools at the time, and I was like, this is just better. So then the deck evolves even more when I don't remember what member of their team, but one of their team members won a YCS with a beatdown deck, a Banisher beatdown deck, but instead of beatdown, they played Joey. And people quickly realized, yeah, that's just better. That was a good idea.
Yeah.
So even I switched to the Joey beatdown build. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And then there was a YCS in, I don't remember what country. I want to say Germany. It was in Europe. We'll leave it at that.
Hell yeah.
And the guy says, "Hey, I'm playing a card from the new set. I'm playing Gumo." And at first I'm like, well, that card seems bad. But then Justice pointed something out to me, and he said, well, if other people are playing this card, you kind of need to play it to attack over theirs. And I'm like, okay, you have a fair point. So from this point on, everyone's playing Joey as the skill in their beatdown deck. They're still playing Banishers, of course. And they're playing Gumos. And then the final evolution of the deck was that so this was for Alam's $1,000 cash tournament. So top 4 or top 8, they split $1,000. And I was like, okay, this Joey deck's pretty popular. I need to lower my trap count, and I'm going to play Shrinks. So I put a couple Shrinks in the deck. I won that event, and then ever since then, that was basically the build, right? So
That was
it had Jiragumos.
that was part of our conversation too, right? Was the Shrinks when we were talking about the need for the
Yeah, we were thinking of like something we could throw in the deck,
Yeah.
and that's what we settled on was Shrink. I think Nightblader might have mentioned it as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, where was I at? Yeah, so the deck was now like Joey beatdown with Shrinks and all that, right? That was basically the final evolution. But my actual story is much shorter. I just wanted to start with that. My actual story is flashing back to that first remote duel where I play beatdown. I was actually going to play Crystal Beast because I was like, man, Cursive got like second place with it at Niagara, and Dino Bones got first, and Tara's pretty confident. He says he's going to take it to this event. So I play in a side event, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to play Crystal Beast, and if I win with Crystal Beast, I'll play Crystal Beast. And if I lose with Crystal Beast, I'll play this beatdown deck that we've been working on, this Banisher beatdown deck. And I got crushed by something or another, like round 1 with Crystal Beast, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'm playing I'm playing this beatdown deck we came up with. And yeah, I take it to the giant card. I get to finals. I'm facing Crystal Beast. I'm facing the Terra Master. And
known at the time as a god of speed duels.
True.
yeah, at the
True.
time,
Not anymore,
unfortunately,
but at the time.
not anymore. Because
It'd still be.
it was a swift 2-0 of me summoning Banisher, setting a back row and passing. And Tara's like, well, I can't use Regeki or Conclave. Go to you. Yeah, that was my actual story.
Yeah.
So that's and ever since that day, and I wonder if the meta would have evolved into Beatdown and then into Joey if it wasn't for me deciding like I'm gonna take it to this event. I don't know.
Who knows?
No way to know.
Yeah.
Nobody.
I mean,
will
it's
ever know.
crazy. I remember I brought that the beatdown deck to the second giant card event at Niagara, and just my luck, I went up against Dragoon and then Dragoon. And the only card I had that could ever take out a Dragoon is if they put it in attack mode because I had Shrink. And it happened the first time I faced it, but the second person that played it wasn't ever switching their Dragoon, so I lost. Great times, great times.
Shout out to Dragoon.
That was your favorite memory?
No, that's not my favorite
Okay.
memory. That made
No,
me mad, man. I knew I could
but
be
you know, that
anyone
was
except the
actually- that was-
Dragoon player.
That was the biggest problem about the beatdown decks is
Yeah.
they did not beat Rogue.
No.
Yeah.
They were like, okay, we're gonna crush. I almost call them Flamvel. We're gonna crush Volcanic. We're gonna crush Crystal Beasts. Oh, but please don't summon a Dragoon or something weird on us. Please don't do that.
Yeah, please don't play Sparkman Turbo. Remember that?
Right.
Yes.
I lost to a hero deck.
I know. That's what I'm referencing.
That was it.
Yeah,
It
man.
was
No, the
Sparkman?
Sparkman decks that were
it was
making
Sparkman with the Jaden skill.
It was literally Jaden, I think. like the player.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah, no.
Oh,
Jaden,
dude, really?
Jaden from the anime.
I want to say Jaden played a Jaden deck with like 27 cards or something, and he beat me, and he topped the event. I also topped the event because it was Swiss. But so after that, I'm like, okay, this deck looks pretty cool. Like it topped, it must be good. And I tried it out, and it was a pile.
Didn't work for you. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to be named Jaden.
Yeah.
Dude, but no, real
Yeah.
talk though. The Lightning Golem OTK Turbo deck actually crushed Beatdown.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
My boy running out my Lightning Golem and my vanilla. You fool.
Yeah. It's great. All right. Drake, who are you passing it to?
His water bottle.
You, because you talked.
Haha. Got him.
Outplayed.
All right. I'm gonna go two memories. One is expanded card pool, which we kind of touched on already. That was so much fun because that was at a time, that big gap where those of you who've been around long enough will remember, where we just didn't know if we were getting products. We didn't know what Speed Duel was going to do, if it was going to continue, because it was like we had Battle City Box and then we had freaking worldwide global issue, right? That made the whole world go into chaos. So nobody knew what was going to happen with the format. So, we just made our own expansion,
Yeah.
right? Of the card game. So that was amazing. We had BLS Super Soldier.
Dude, BLS best deck, man.
Yeah, we had
Let's go.
Metamorphosis. We were so stupid. We added Metamorphosis as a skill.
Dude, Lucas loved it though. He wanted it so bad we couldn't say no.
Yeah, I know. Lucas loved it. We had King Dragoon, the fusion. We
Gatling Dragon.
we had Gatling Dragon. We had the Time Wizard fusion.
Yes.
It was amazing. All of that was
Dude.
amazing.
Dude, the combo was Summon Charging Gaia, a Metamorphosis into King Dragoon,
Yes.
search the BLS.
Yes. Yep. And then summon the BLS
Yeah.
with the ritual spell. And then you use OTK. It was
Yeah,
amazing.
it was
Um,
crazy.
Yeah, expanded was fun. But
Still lost to Zoma.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Conflict Zoma still won
Oh, we all-
expanded tournaments.
It did,
which
yeah.
was sad. But the second memory, and this is just like the most fun that I've ever had playing like official Speed Duel, was like those first couple remote events where like all of us, I think,
Yes.
Drake maybe wasn't on the team yet for like the first one, but there was like that at least one where all of us entered and we were all, in JDG voice chat, then going to our rounds, watching
Yes.
each other's matches, all keeping track of our progress, coming back, discussing the matches, what happened, what deck we played, and that was like the most fun Speed Duel weekend like ever. Combo Weekend was pretty good, but doesn't compare to that. So,
Yep.
yeah. Shout out to Combo
Yeah.
Weekend. Honorable mention. Just destroying me, Drake, and Ursus.
Free
Just destroying
Cyber Angel deck
everybody
center.
with Cyber
Free
Angels.
Cyber Angel decks topped.
It was the most vindication like ever, because I remember the discussion before that was like, oh, we looked at the ban list and we were like, oh yeah, Cyber Angel is going to be the best deck by far, and people wanted to argue with us. So I was like, okay, let's go enter this remote
We'll
event.
prove it to you.
It was like most people.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
most people were either like, nah, it's tier 2 or nah, it's trash.
Yeah, like, and we
For some
were
reason.
all like, no, it is clearly the best deck.
Literally.
And then Ursus got first, and Terra got second, and I got top 8. And then guess what happened at the following event? I got first because you guys didn't enter.
Right.
So you let me
And-
win with it.
And you got top 8 because I beat you. And I got second because I played Ursus in the finals in the mirror, and I completely bricked. Like I basically just like gave.
Well,
him the
one of you
match.
had to lose, right?
Right. One of us had
Yeah.
to brick because we'd gotten that far without bricking. So yeah. So I mean, and that just kind of proved it was the best feeling ever, because I'm like, yeah, this deck is insane right now. And after that, people finally realized it. So it was cool.
Man, I don't know why anyone was ever sleeping on that deck. It was topping events before the ban list came out. It was beating Moth full power. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It was good even back then. The problem it had back then was, tributing the Azana.
Right.
yeah, but it was still competing at like a very high level. So I don't know why people were like ever sleeping on that deck. Like,
Yeah.
crazy, insane.
No idea. People be.
I'm
sleeping.
gonna take 2 also, and partially because one of my answers actually is exactly the same as Tara's, and it's the one that I had thought of when we first were like, just doing prep for the topics. That was the very first remote duel main event for Speed Duels. And that was the most fun I've ever had playing Speed Duels, for the reasons you mentioned, Tara, that like we were all hanging out. I think it was you, me, Curse of Blaze, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say.
I think so. Yeah.
That was when Ursus got his HJDG title?
No,
Was that
no,
after?
no,
Okay.
no,
I think they came after.
Okay.
But he always hung out. It never
Yeah.
changed.
But yeah, that was super, super fun. As you said, like all just hanging out in between rounds, watching each other matches, like coming back and talking to us. That was just absolutely amazing. The funny thing is, this is also one of my worst memories in Speed Duels, because that was the event I got to top 4. That was the very first main event ever. I got top 4, and like people probably heard me talk about this before. So like I was playing Moth Beatdown, which was the best deck in the format at the point. I was playing against Interconflicts. Like I managed to lose game 1. Game 2, I'm on my turn, like about to win game 2, when Discord just randomly kicked me out of the voice channel. And like I reconnected real quick. Like first it took me a minute to realize what happened, because I didn't even realize that it happened at first. Like I heard it, I didn't realize it kicked me out. As soon as I realized it, I joined right back in. But the rules are like you disconnect from voice channel to game loss. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And like we tried to appeal it, because like even my opponent was telling the judges, no, he had game. Like even my opponent was saying, no, he had that game. Like there's nothing I could have done. But it just was what it was. So I lost in top 4. Like that was the match, because Discord randomly bugged. So that was fun. So like that was one of my worst memories, because like it was just such a feel bad moment where like I was playing the best deck. Like my list was great. I felt like I was playing really, really well. Things were like going really well, and then random Discord error ends my run of the first ever Speed Duel main event. And like so that was like the worst feeling, but overall that event was the most fun I've ever had. Because of the time spent with you guys, for sure. The other thing I will say that I had a ton of fun with, and that I'm also proud of, and I know Drake, you heard us talk about this before you joined up, was the Speed Duel Master Circuit, because this was the first and only time that we have had a league format for Speed Duels, and I was very, very proud of that. People really seemed to enjoy it. People liked playing in it. People liked watching it. And it was something that Speed Duels had never had before and has not had since. And it took a lot of effort on my part, more so than just like single day tournaments do, because it's weekly. It was every week. It took a lot of effort on my part. A lot went into it, but I was really proud of the end result.
It was 100% the most popular like Speed Duel like fan made format, like easily. Like all the other ones were like you'd struggle to get like participation, but people were actually looking forward to this.
Oh my
Yeah,
god! Don't remind me. I remember we would beg people to get to 8 in the expanded tournament.
Literally, man.
We'd DM people and be like, please,
Please.
please.
You joined the first week. Why not again?
Yeah.
So those are going to be the two of my fondest memories for sure.
Got you. For me, it's before even like the first Speed Duel like main event, but the first time Speed Duel ever had a remote event. I think it was like me, Terra Master, I think it was Rook, and then White Sauce. We weren't even we were jumping into whatever vacant Speed Duel room there was after our matches and just having like a giant chat, and like at least like 2 hours of our conversation was waiting for them to fire the single 8-man flight. Like it was ridiculous. It was so poorly run, but it was just so much fun. Just like every single like 8-man flight we were playing, and this was the very first time the Speed Duel had remote events. So like it got to the point where like I think like White Sauce won 2 already, and Rook got like buys all the way to finals and then beat me in finals one time, and it was so crazy. It was so much fun though. And another thing that is like super quick to throw in, I also love every single time that like I'd see like Terra Master or Justice or someone like come into the JDG team chat and be like, hey, we should add Drake to the team, or hey, we should add Raviel to the team. And every single time it's happened, I'm like, I've been thinking that for so long now. This is crazy. I feel like we always aligned on who we wanted to add to the team, which is just, it's nice.
It is.
Sarah, do you remember what I said when you're like, oh, because you asked me, oh, hey, are you serious? You want to join the team? I'm like, yeah. And you said, okay, I got to see what the other guys say. And they're like, yeah, they said they want you. And I asked, I was like, what did Cursive say though? because I had played him in a winner box.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And I threw that game.
I don't care what, like,
because
I don't care what anyone else says. I don't care like what Justice, the literal, owner of the team, thinks. Whatever.
No.
What is Cursive?
What a cursive.
Yeah.
What is a celebrity?
I love it. I respect that, honestly.
Dude, I remember talking to you after that Winnabox match, and I was like, man, you literally threw that game. Like, you had a clear, like, turn to just win outright.
We've talked about this before on this podcast. Okay. We've talked about this on this podcast before, where basically, if you have a shot to go for game, you should probably take it.
Yeah.
Because if you pass, you're giving your opponent an option to draw their out. Well, I'm playing Cursive in a win a box, and I need to win this match to get into top.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I have game unless he has Zoma. And I'm like, okay, I won't attack because he might have Zoma or whatever the card was. I think it was Zoma.
I think it was Zoma, yeah.
And so I think I put my guy in defense mode instead. And
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, go to you. And he didn't have Zoma.
The next
And he
card I
drew at
drew
that
was
turn.
Zoma. The next card I drew was Zoma. I'm sitting there on my end, right? I'm like, all right, man. If Drake attacks me here, I lose. It all comes down to this. And as soon as Drake shifts his monster to defense, I'm like, I got a chance. And then I top deck Zoma, and I'm like, let's go.
You know, I learned that about Yugioh or about myself a long time ago, where the worst feeling for me is not to attack into a mirror force like back when I was playing at first, right? And lose because it was mirror force. The worst feeling for me is to be scared of mirror force and not attack and then lose because it wasn't mirror force and I was just a coward. So I refuse to give in to cowardice. I will always attack. And if you have the out, cool. If you don't, haha, I win. So there you go. That's why I play OTK decks, guys.
There you go.
Yu-Gi-Oh is easy game. Just
Just
attack and win.
I'm just going to attack.
Yeah. I will say, like, and we've touched on it a few times. I will say, I know this is the case for myself, and if I may be so bold as to speak for others, I think it's at least somewhat the case for others here too. The team as a whole has greatly increased my enjoyment of playing speed duels, of being involved with speed duels. I do consider all of you, genuine friends, and not just teammates, and that's it's a beautiful thing, and it's something that will, I think, stick with us regardless of how long we're playing speed duels or whatever. It is my biggest takeaway at the end of the day is the people that we've met and the friends that we've made and the connections that we
Along
formed.
the
And,
way.
like, that's what.
The friends you made along the way.
Yeah,
Exactly.
the real giant card was the friends you made along
Yes.
the way. Justin.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm really grateful to have everyone that we have on the team. Obviously you guys and the ones that aren't here as well. Nightblader, Ursus, Raphael. They're I'm really grateful for everybody. Yeah, it's a big deal for me.
Yeah, it's great. Dude, honestly, so for like the past like year, Tara, how many times have we just gone on Discord voice and just like talked about Speed Duel or nothing
Yeah, just nothing. Just
for hours?
yeah.
Yeah, it's been a lot. So I've spent a lot of time with many of you guys, and like not even just people on the team, like like friends of the team, like DG Kuhn and Jack
Yeah.
and Claudie, like just like met a lot of cool people playing Speed Duel.
Yeah, I completely agree. Every now and again, I'll hear from Lucas randomly, and I'm like, "Hey, look, it's the clown."
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I love that his icon is an emote I made for my Twitch. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah, man. Hey, so one more time, because why not? Shout out to Speed Duel.
Shout out to Speed Duel,
Shout out
man.
to Speed Duel.
Doing great things. Helping
Doing
people
great
meet
things.
other people. Shout out.
Facts.
Big time.
Shout out.
Big time.
All right. I think
Shout out
that's
to Yu-Gi-Oh.
What's up?
I said I just shout out to Yu-Gi-Oh.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Shout out to card games.
Hell yeah.
Shout out to games, dude.
All right. Before that evolves any further, I think it's a good note
Yeah.
to send us out on. You guys have any closing thoughts, or you want to just kind of leave it there? I think that's a nice sentiment to wrap this up with.
I mean, Speed Duel has also given us a lot of memes. So, especially Lucas, the whole
Yeah.
clown
Yes.
thing, the cheater list, those of you who've been long
Oh,
enough
the cheater
long
list.
around.
The
what
cheater
am I trying
list,
to say?
man.
If you've been here
How
long
about the
enough, you
meme-
know what that is. So,
The meme where I got 9th place, like 3 winner boxes in a row.
yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty.
My
good.
life was a meme at that point.
Man, guys, Speed Duels is over.
There it is.
Oh,
He
yeah.
said the thing.
He said the thing. Trap hole is too strong.
Yeah.
And there's been so much. So,
There has been.
we're talking about all this history. So, hey, thank
All the
you.
Keebler clones in Speed Duel League.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah,
Dude.
that was so much
Dude.
fun. That was great. That was the greatest troll in Speed Duel League history. So before we go, since we're reminiscing so much, I just want to say, thanks to everyone who entered one of the tournaments we organized. Right.
Mhm.
Thanks to anyone who's ever helped us talk about a deck theory or test a deck or had a positive experience playing a game with us, regardless of what it was for, the tournament or for fun, whatever it was, right? Thanks to everyone who's watching us right now, because this is a long podcast and you're still here, so that's awesome.
This is probably gonna be our longest episode, I think.
Yeah, it might
Yeah.
be. So,
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
And if you are still here and you haven't done it yet, remember, #free Jinzo. We're still doing it.
So we
Yes.
But like Justice said, probably a good place to leave it off, unless anyone else has any more closing thoughts. No? All right, going
No.
once, going twice, and I'll
Oh,
see you.
to the end of the podcast.
We'll see you when Jinzo's at 3.
Yeah.
But until then, Drake, Justice, Cursive, and Terra Master, we are out.